What page is it?
Al, I'm just trying to make the AC a little bit, a little warm in here, right? It's not?
He's never warm, never.
All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Samach Tamach Aleph. So we left off at the bottom. We're talking about the Aliyahs being called as the Torah in terms of Darchei Shalom, Kohen Levi Yisrael. So they asked, Sholchule, bottom line of Nun Tesam and Beis, Sholchule b'nei Galil Rabbi Chalbo. So the people of the Galil asked Rabbi Chalbo, Acharehen Bikarim. Okay, so fine, we got the first two down. What about after that? What's the order, especially Shabbos? Right, you call up 7 people. He didn't have an answer for them. Also, Shaili the Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha, the answer was Nacha. Amarlei Acharehen Karin Tamni Chacham Amonim Parnasim Al Tzibor. After them, we go ahead. We call up those Tamni Chachamim who have been basically appointed to support the community, the leaders of the community. And after them, after those are those who not necessarily are actual leaders of the community, but those are fit to become leaders. And there's an interesting one. Those whose fathers are not necessarily they aren't, but their fathers are fit, and therefore you call them up. After them, the Gabayim and all those others who are involved in the operations. You know, the leaders of the Batei Knesset, and then after that, everybody else. So, what is the halacha when it comes to, let's say, Chumash, there's a scroll of a Chumash, let's say Sefer, right? We just finished Sefer Bamidbar, right? The entire Sefer, or Sefer Vayikra, or one of those. Can you read that? It's not all 5 Chumashim together, rather just one. So he did not know the answer. He didn't know. Josh, they asked the Medrash of Ashtu, and they answered. From that which Rab Shul bar Nachmani taught in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, Sefer Torah shechaser Yeriya Achas Ein Karin Bo. A Sefer Torah that is missing any segment that you do not read from it. So let's say you have a Sefer Torah, right? And you're missing some, you cannot go ahead and read from it. So if that is 99% of the Sefer Torah, of the Torah, you can't read from it. Certainly, something which is only 20%, one chumash, certainly should not be able to. However, maybe that's not a good Torah. It's why, because you can deflect it. Hasa, maybe mechaser b'mulsei. Over there, it's missing something that was supposed to be 100%. That is 99%. However, hachal mechaser milsei. But over here, there's not missing. It's supposed to be 20%, and it's a full 20%. So maybe that the fact that it's not lacking. The fact that it was a lacking was that issue, and therefore it's not lacking, and therefore it can't really compare. And Rav Yosef, they say no. You can't read from these Chumash Beis HaKnesses. Why? Mishum Kavod Tzibur, because Kavod Tzibur need a full Sefer Torah and not only a Chumash. And Rav Yosef Tavayu, Hi Sefer Afterasa Asur Lemikra Bei B'Shabbos. A Sefer, just a parchment of just the Haftarahs. Right? Perhaps they didn't have enough parchment, or they couldn't do it to go ahead. Let's say write the whole Sefer Yeshua or Shoftim, and they just took out the segment that was read to the Haftarah, Perek Yudaleh. So it's also to go ahead and read from a Sefer Haftarasa on Shabbos. My time, what's reason? You need to because it was not given over to be written in such a way. It was not meant to be written of only one chapter. It was meant to be written as an entire sefer, and therefore that which you went ahead and wrote it as a chapter, that is not. It was not leinitin likasik. And my bravashi amar letutli nami aser. If you're going to say that, you can't read from it. Therefore, it's also muksa. My time because it's not fit for use. What's its use? The use is to learn from, but you're not allowed to learn from it because it wasn't meant to be written in such a manner, and therefore it should also be muksa. However, Velohi, they argue. It's also to go ahead and it would be permitted to go ahead and to touch it. It's not muksa, and also v'shar l'mikrabeit. Also, it's muksa. It would be permitted to go ahead and read from it. The Rabbi Yechon, they used to go ahead and learn from a sefer of Agathos. Now, Agathos is Torah Sheba'al Peh. We'll soon discuss that a little bit later. And Torah Sheba'al Peh was meant only to be given over orally from one to the other and not necessarily written down. And therefore, it wasn't meant to be written, such as similar to a Sefer Haftarahs was not meant to be written in such a manner. And nevertheless, you see Rabbi Yechon Shlogish read from it. and nevertheless they were able to they use it. Ella, so why were they permitted to use it? It's not supposed to be written. Ella Kaban Delayavshar, since it's not possible, in other words, for the Masorah to go through generations and the generation of just being given over orally, because of, and therefore they wrote it down because in other words they had a special, right, they had a special reason, a time to act for Hashem in order not to in order to save the Torah. Therefore, they're able to go ahead and write down the Agadah as Torah Shabbat Peh. So how can I be so over here? But the Sefer of Torahs.
This is why we skip Yom and Shabbos, right?
I'm sorry.
This is why we skip Yom and Shabbos.
This is right. Torah Shabbat Peh. It's Muksa. So how can I be Ken Hashem? So over here we say Eis Lasas Hashem to write down the Sefer of Torahs. So boy mine Abaye me Rabba. So Abaye asked a question from Rabba. Mahu lichtayv Megillah Latina Islam Edba. What is the halacha to go ahead and write a Megillah? In other words, a non-full Sefer Torah for a Talmud to go ahead and learn from it. Basically, maybe parshios, maybe different segments of the Torah, but not the entire thing. So Tiboy Laman Diamar Torah Megillah Nisna, and Tiboy Laman Diamar Torah Chasuma Nisna. Right? We're going to go according to both opinions. We'll soon see this machlokes samach of whether the Torah was given in segments, which is called Megillah, right, throughout the Midbar until after the 40 years, or basically was it given over at the end of the 40 years as one complete Torah? So we can ask this question of writing a segment according to both Mandarim. How so? So therefore, since we see that it was originally given as piecemeal, right? So over here you can go ahead and write a segment. Or perhaps you get or you could say that no, yes, it did start off as segment by segment Megillah. But once it was attached and made whole, then you could only go ahead and write it as a whole. Or that was given as completed. Since it was only given over as one full book, therefore you can only write, even for a student, only write over one full book. Or maybe because it's not possible to go ahead and write every single book, and therefore, in order for the purposes of starting to learning, therefore we allow to be written, segment by segment. So second white line, Amarle, Ein Kaisvin. No. Ein Kaisvin, my time. What's the reason? The fish Ein Kaisvin, because the halacha is absolutely, we do not go ahead and write, we don't go ahead and write Sefer Torah's, non-complete Sefer Torah. It's an absolute halacha. So Eisve, Afias, the tabla Shaparsha the Ksubaleha. So we know in the second sotas, they used to go ahead by a sota, they would go ahead and write the parsha on the sota, and they write it on parchment, and then you go ahead and place it in the water, right? So that whole parsha was done. So they had in the Mikdash, someone donated, right, a beautiful golden tablet with the parsha of Sota Renat. So what do you see over here? You see that you can go ahead and write a segment of the Torah and not the entire thing. No, it wasn't written completely out. Rather, the first line said Aleph. Each word was like the Rosh Tevos. It said like the first letter, and therefore we knew that it was a letter that starts with Aleph or one with the letter Dalet, and we knew what to write there. It was like a hint. It wasn't the fully written out. You say that was written out. So it says he will look at what was written and copy what was on there. So Lemais, it sounds like it was complete words written on there. So no, maybe means like that which was similar to what was written there. No, it was that over there wrote an Aleph, and therefore he wrote the entire word, Im Shachav or whatever it was. So the Gemara further says, no, that's not right. What does he write? The Tavla. He says over there, what does it write in the tablet? It says Im Shachav, and then it says Im Lo Shachav, right? If she did lie with another man, then this will happen. If she did lie, then she'll be blessed, right? So you see over there that it was written. These words were written in there. So Gemara says, yes, there were complete words in there, but there were maybe first couple words of a pasuk, not the entire pasuk. So therefore, it wrote the first couple words, and therefore they knew to write this pasuk. For them well, it was nice and beautiful, and for them to go ahead and copy that which is this the golden the golden piece of it was nice to go ahead and write it from there. So Gemara says in the end, Kitanai. So Machlekes Tanai. Ein Kaisim Megillah Litinok Lislami Ba. You can't go ahead and just write a segment of the Torah to go ahead and teach it. However, but if you're going to go ahead and eventually complete it, then mutter. That's the mutter of Yudaimer. The Bereshis at Dor HaMabel, you're going to go ahead and write it. You have to write the entire parsha from the beginning of Bereshis until Dor HaMabel, or B'taras Kohanim, or if you're going to write the Sefer Vayikra, you write Ad Vayi B'Yom HaShmini. You write the first couple parshas over there, and when it goes through all the halachas of the korbanos. And Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So now this is Machlokes that we referenced to before. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Bana. Torah, Megillah, Nisan. The Torah was given throughout, portion by portion, throughout the Midbar until at the end of the 40 years, where they had a full Sefer Torah. Shenamar, as the pasuk says, Azamarti Nebati Megillah Sefer Kasubalai. So it says there that David HaMelech, right, referring to his reference in the Torah, right? So he calls it Megillas, right? He calls it Megillas like the segment. He's referring to the segment of where he descended from Moab. Right, so the part there, so he references the Torah as Megillah, right? He says, "Yeah, I mentioned the Megillah because they were, challenging, his, that he cannot be part of, lead the Jewish people." Torah chasuma nisan. No, it was given whole. Shneimar, the pasuk says, "La'akua es sefer haTorah hazos." So it says over there that it calls it a Sefer Torah, right? The entire Sefer Torah, it sounds like it was whole and complete. According to the first right? Rabbi Bana, that it says over there, lakuach, right? Right? It was whole, right? To take the whole. It means after they were all connected and put together, then it was called a Sefer HaTorah. Megillas, right? So it says Megillas. Sefer Kasav Alai. Megillah Sefer Kasav Alai. So over there is referencing to Megillas. No, you can say the entire Torah is called Megillah, even though yes, it's called Megillah, which is not mash from the entire Sefer. It's mash from segments, a scroll part of it. Nevertheless, it's referring to the whole thing. The pasuk says, "Vayomer Elai Mata Re'eh Vayomer Ani." Roya Megillah Afa. So it says over there that referencing the entire Sefer Torah, it calls it a Megillah. So therefore, you see that Megillah can refer to the entire Sefer Torah. It's not a kasha. Inami, or look at Rabbi Levi, like Rabbi Levi says, Rabbi Levi, Shmona Parshias Never B'Yayim Shehukam Mishkan. You could say that even though it was given a whole, but nevertheless there were 8 Parshios that were written on the day of the inauguration of the Mishkan, which would have been the first Rosh Chodesh Nisan in the Midbar. And alien Parshas, and either the Parshas, because they basically were starting the Avodah then. So alien Parshas Kohanim, there was this when the Avodah would start with the Kohanim, not necessarily with Moshe Rabbeinu. So it says alien Parshas Kohanim. So then the halachas, the Parshas, a mention of Kohanim, the Parshas Levim, and also the Levim, the Parshas Tameim, and also the Parsha of those who were Tamei the first year in order to do Pesach Sheni. Parsha Shalach Tameim, and also the Parsha to send those who were Tamei outside the Machane. Parsha Zachremos, also the parsha of when the Bnei Aaron, the two of Bnei Aaron died, right, doing the avoda. Parshas Shisu Yayin, and also the parsha of how one enters the mikdash, they can't be intoxicated. Parshas Neiros, and the parsha of Aloisva, to the Neiros, the Parshas Paraduma, and also the parsha Paraduma, I assume by Chukas. So. Nevertheless, so maybe he was referred to those Megillos. So Amar Rabbi Elazar Torah. So says Rabbi Elazar, Torah Roi Viksav Umiyat Alpeh. So Torah, most of it is written, right? And then the minority of it is Alpeh. Shenamar, the pasuk says, Achtoiv Lo Ruba Torasi Kamo Zar Nachshelu. So it says over there, right? Right. right? The majority of my Torah. So you see that it was Kasuv, it was written down, that which was a majority. We'll soon understand to read the pasuk another way. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Roiv Al Peh Umiyut Biksav. No, majority was Al Peh and the minority of Biksav. It says Ki Al Pi Hadvar Ma'ela. Right, these things Al Pi. Right, the majority of it is Al Peh, the Masorah of Torah Shebal Peh. It says over there that I'll write for it the majority of my Torah. So my answer is no. Right over there, it was said rhetorically. It says Echtoiv lo ruba Torasi. Right, I should go ahead and write the entire, more Torah, the entire Torah. Right, these people are foreigners to that which was already given. I should give more. In other words, over there, it said rhetorically. It wasn't says that a majority was written. It was saying what? I should go ahead and write a majority of it. They don't even listen to the minority of it. Vidach nam yoksiv ki al pi advarim. It says ki al pi advarim sounds like it's a Messiah's Moshe. So ha'ela. So hahu mishum the takidi living marina. No, because that is over there. Those are more difficult. So therefore, al pi advarim is referring to those are more difficult and therefore perhaps more cumbersome. And Darshav Yehuda bar Nachmani Meturgmei the Reb Shimon ben Lakish Ksiv. It says over there, write these matters. And it says these matters are al pi. These are transmitted orally. So how So how so? Those that were things that were written, you should go ahead and transmit them al peh. And that which is meant to be transmitted al peh, you can't say, you can't go ahead and have them, transmit them written down. Debate, we're on Samach Hamad Beis, and debate Rabbi Shmuel Tana says Eila, ta kaisev yata kaisev halachas. So notice only these you can go ahead and write, and not the which is halachas Moshe Sinai. Rabbi Yochanan like Koros Hakadosh Baruch Hu Brisi Yisrael Ela B'Shvil Dvarim Shebal Peh. Right, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a covenant with Bnei Yisrael only because of matters, because of the oral Torah. Shneimar, the pasuk says, "Ki al pi hadvar ma'ela karasit chabris v'Yisrael." Because of these matters, and as these which were al pi hadvarim, that is the reason why there was a covenant with Bnei Yisrael. Fine, 2 dots over on Samach Amud Beis. So he mentioned Ma'arvin. You go ahead and you leave. The Eruv they used to have in order for Erev Chaseros. For Shabbos they leave the bread, the Suda, the loaves in one of the houses or one of the yards, depending on his for Erev Chaseros, right? So let's say one of the houses, so you should go ahead and leave it in the same house because of Darchei Shalom. Now, what's the Darchei Shalom? So my time, if it's because of kavod, shipura. There was a shofar. They used to go ahead and blow the shofar right before Shabbos, so people would hear the sound. They know that it's time to stop halacha, and then different halachas we have there. Instead of before the sirens, they had it multiple times. So just imagine this neighborhood. The Havi Bikar in the beginning, Ki Rabbi Yehuda. It was in the Bay Rabbi Yehuda. It was the house of Rabbi Yehuda. Then they took it for the house of Rabbi Yehuda, and they Bay Rabbah. They brought it to Rabbah's house. Levasayif Bei Rav Yosef, brought to Rav Yosef's house. So Levasayif Ki Abaye, they brought to Abaye. Levasayif Ki Rab Bei Rabbah, they brought to Rabbah. They brought to Rabbah. So you see over there that if you're worried about the cover of taking it from someone's house, we see that they change it from house to house with these many of the great Amoraim. So it can't be because of cover. That's why you don't move it. Ella Mishum Chashada, rather because of Chashad. As if I know that the Erev is always in this house, and I come and I don't see it there, and I see people carrying in the Chatzir, so I'll assume that they're carrying on Shabbos. So therefore, because of that Chashad, so therefore it's not, in other words, and little did he know that was moved to another person's house. So therefore, you go ahead and you say, you know what, it's always going to be the same house, and therefore people see it there, they know they can carry. If they don't see it there, then no one will be carrying. So we say over there that a pit that was close to the Amot, so the channel of water that goes ahead and irrigates. He's allowed to go ahead and fill up his cistern, right? To fill that one first. So Itamar, V'nei Nahara. So when it comes to a river, right? So we'll say like this: the river is the top, then the people who are upstream, meaning they were closest, so the river's here, upstream is up here, and downstream is going to be down here, right? So it flows all the way downstream, but it goes first to upstream, then downstream, right? Now, so Rav Omar Tazoi Shasu Maya Beresha. Rav says if you have people living along the river, the people right downstream, they get water, they get to water their fields first. Shmuel Amar Eloi Shasu Maya Beresha. And Shmuel says the people upstream on top, they get to water their property first. Now, the Nemizel, I'm sorry.
The Colorado River is having this big fight right now.
Oh, yeah, they?
Yeah.
So since let's see. In the Mazda, when there's enough water, when there's enough water for everyone to go ahead and take Kuli Amalei Pligi, no one argues there. He Pligi, where is this Machlekas? But the Mizkar Bashkuye. Now is when they have to go ahead and basically block it up, close it up in order for people to go ahead and have enough water to irrigate their fields. Shmuel Amri Loisha, so my Beresha, the Shmuel says the people upstream closer to the water source get to go ahead and water their first. Why? We're closer. So since we're closer, we should go ahead and do it. The Rav Omar Tazoisha, so no, the people downstream Maya, Beresha, they get to drink the water first. Why? Don't block it up. Let the water flow. It flows all the way downstream. So therefore it comes to us, basically we can go ahead and irrigate our fields. So let's see. Tanan, let's look at our mission. It says, Bor HaKarev La'ama. You have a pit that's or a cistern that's closest to the water. Mismali Rishon, the ones who are closest, they can go ahead and fill it up first. Because of Darchi Shalom. So you see over here, the people upstream get it first. The ones who are closer, not the ones farther away downstream. So Tirgum Shmuel, Aliba the Rav. So Shmuel was nice enough to answer for Rav because this is support for Shmuel. Shmuel says the closer people do, and Rav says the farther people do. So our Mishnah clearly says the closer, not farther. So Shmuel will say, okay, I know what Rav will say in the situation. He'll say Bi'ama Hamisaleches Al Pibor. Right. So he says over here we're talking about a case of where that the water passes by the opening and then it fills it automatically. You don't have to block it, and you can allow it to go ahead and fill up.
Shalom for one, and not shalom for the other. Whichever one you go like, it's not shalom for another person. So it's called down.
Well, maybe they're right. They're closer, but also if you have a rule, we'll soon see what the final halach is. But if you have a rule, then perhaps that will create shalom. There won't be an argument. If you have a rule. So if we're saying over here, right, that the people who are close by don't have to go ahead and block off their bores, right, and the water automatically fills it, right, and they're allowed to do that, so they really didn't do anything. So Ma'ila Memra.
I think really the problem is when you don't have much water, so you will have to narrow it down to the one up there.
Right. So over there, so we're saying that. So Rav will say that's not the case in the Mishnah. That's not what the Mishnah is talking about, and therefore you can't bring it as a proof against me. So Ma'adeh Mojo said, "Ma'atzir Malay, Sachar Miskar Bishkui Behendaza." So he says maybe you'd say over there that they have to go ahead and block it up, and therefore you can go ahead and water your fields that way. Kamash Malon, that they're not forced to go ahead and block right their pits. Their pits can go ahead and fill up automatically. Which one? The Hindaza? The water will go, I think, naturally or something like that. Let's see. Measurements? Let's see. I'm just looking over here. Go Rashi. Yeah.
The drop from the can.
Right, we're on Samacham base, right?
Oh, it's like a proportional thing.
Right.
Some kind of proportion.
Right. In other words, we'll go right normally, right, or something, right? So Kamash Blon, you don't say that. And now they really didn't establish halachas which way. Kol the elim gava. Right, whoever basically goes ahead and does it first come, first serve. That's how it works. So in the case of the Colorado River, I guess that will go ahead and we can give them that halacha. And speaking of which, Rav Shini bar Ashi is also the Kamei Dabai came for Abai Omar Le Usan Rabina. No, we need a charusa. Let's go ahead and give the time of charusa. Samalei Isli Idna. However, Ladidi. I do have time to learn, but this is during the time when I do my own learning. I don't have time for charusa. She says, okay, Busin Marbelayla. Okay, but maybe let's learn at nights. Samalei Isli Maya Leshkuya. I have to go ahead and water my fields in the evenings. Samalei Ana mashkin alei lamar maya b'yamama loisin mar b'layla. I have an idea. I'll water your fields during the day, and then at night you'll have time to learn with me. So he says, yeah, okay, that works for me. So he's going to go ahead and water Abaye's fields during the day, and then they'll learn together at night. So what did this guy do? Did we give a name? No, yeah, Rav Shimon bar Ashi. What did he do? So he told the person who was upstream, who was higher up, closer to the source than he was, the people downstream, they get the water first. And so therefore don't block it off and let it flow to me. And Azal Tasai, then he went to the bottom, people said, the people above you, they get the water first. So basically he told the people upstream, you gotta let the water flow down to me. The people downstream don't take the water and therefore block it off and let it will irrigate these fields in the middle, which were Abaye's fields. And so what did he do? He blocked it off and he basically took the water for Abaye. Basically, sort of by tricking the people upstream and downstream. So also, a very good move, right? Because we said Kolam Gover, whoever wins, then this is a Kolam Gover. He doesn't have to be necessarily stronger and beat them up, but he outwitted them.
At least in the beginning, he won.
So Kiyotsu coming to buy him for Abaye Amalei Kebei Trey Avatali. What you basically went ahead and tricked. You said, oh, this one, that one. V'loi taminu Abaye leperi dayushas. Said Abaye was upset about it. He didn't want to go ahead and prosper from such a move. And therefore, it was said that Abaye did not eat from any of his fruits the entire season. Hanu b'nei bechamecha de azul karu bereisha de shnavasa be'adrua v'shadua b'shilei nara. So there was a people of Charmech, I guess town, and basically, actually, the Art School has a picture, right? Those are at Art School on 60B3. So basically, there was a river that went down, and you have there, right? So there's a river that went down. There was a field off to the side, and they basically took the water and went around also the back of the field. And then it came back in. So the water flowed down, around, and back down. All right. So the water obviously does not flow as fast because they sort of, broke off the water. They zigzag. So Azal, I think I'll say, so the Kamei Abaye, the people who were upstream, they came for Abaye, Amrulay, Amiskol Narin. Right, so they said, though, we got a problem here. It's slowing down the water. It's not flowing like it used to because it doesn't go straight. It goes down slower. Samalu karabadayu. It's fake, of course. Go ahead and dig it deeper. If you dig the water, the underneath it deeper, it will flow faster. Had to do it lower, then maybe other years when we just need the water there, the water level is going to be too low because they dug it deeper, and therefore they won't be able to go ahead and irrigate their fruits. So he says that's the case. So that's the case. Then you got to tell them that they're not allowed to go ahead and slow down the river by doing this maneuver. Fine. Two dots. Bottom line. So we say that traps of animals, you can't go ahead and take from the traps. Animals that are trapped before the owner gets there because Darchei Shalom. Others say it's Gezel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously not.
Right. So Bar says. So when is this case where we say you can't go ahead and take it? We're talking about ba'avzi va'ori, right? If you're talking about nets or something that holds, right, the actual and the prey. It holds the prey, then it's considered to be something that it was seized or acquired by the owner of the trap, and therefore that you can't go ahead and take. However, no one argues in that case. Kipligi, when do they argue? Balachi v'korpri, right? When you have hooks or ropes that sort of snag the animal, since it didn't hold it, therefore it didn't actually acquire it, and that's machlekas, whether it's you can't do it because of Darchei Shalom or even Gezel.
Since ropes and traps is still not considered a
So, but mipnei Darchei Shalom, we say you can't go ahead and take it, but it's not Gezel. The other opinion says no, it is Gezel because it doesn't hold it. Now, Mitzias Chereshet of a cotton. If so the Mishnah said there's something a Chereshet of a cotton can't necessarily acquire, they don't have the mental capacity to acquire something. So they find something, it's theirs. You can't go ahead and take it for them because of Darchei Shalom. And Rabbi Yossi says Gezel Gomer. Rav Chizda Gezel Gomer b'divrei. No, that what you say Gezel Gomer doesn't mean Gezel Gomer b'deraisa. rather means Gezel Gomor was only midrabanan. One says Lamai Nafkamin. If that's the case, what's the machlekes over here? The Tanakama says you can't take it because of Darkei Shalom, which is Derabanan, right? So you're stealing like Derabanan, Darkei Shalom. The other opinion says it's Gezel, also midrabanan. So what's the nafkamina? Whether you say Bnei Darkei Shalom or it's Gezel Gomor, they both of them are midrabanan. So the nafkamina is Lahitzia B'dayan, right? To go ahead and take it to court. If you go ahead and take it to court, you say Bnei Darkei Shalom, so you can't go ahead and make him return it. But if you hold this Gezel Gomor b'derabanan, then you can go ahead and make him return. And finally, actually not finally, we have one more case after this. So he says that a poor person, let's say he's going ahead and taking some matnos aniyim, and he goes up into the tree. So anything that's basically that fell below him, that is what's it called? That is we say you're not allowed to take it. It's sort of is acquired by the other Mipnei Darkei Shalom. But if let's say the oni's in a tree and he picks it up with his hand and he drops it down and he'll gather it later. Once he takes it with his hand to knock it down, then he acquires it. So therefore, that's Gezel Gomor. And Rakano, so he was going to Hutzel. So he saw there was a person, there's an ani in the tree, and he was basically throwing his stick at it, knocking down dates that way. So he wasn't using his hand knocking down dates. And so what did he do? So he saw, okay, he didn't acquire them, and he was, started, eating a couple. By the way, you should just know that I was actually, a lot of these, you might have seen me with a stick, but a lot of them I took off my hands and dropped it down. So in other words, he acquired those. So then he stopped. The Asra, the Rav Yoshia, right? It must be from the town of Rav Yoshia, right? Who was, I guess, able to go ahead and teach the masses. And Kariyalev, it's Tzadik Yisei Deilam. He called him Tzadik Yisei Deilam, right? He was able to, basically, inform all what the halachas were. And finally, also, we don't we don't stop the poor the poor non-Jews from going ahead and collecting from the gifts to the poor because of Darkei Shalom. And Tanur Rabbanan, Parnasim Ani Nachrim Im Ani Yisrael, we go ahead and we support them, the poor people of the Nachrim of the Chavim, just like those of Yisrael. Mavakrin Choli Nachrim Im Choli Yisrael. We also go ahead and we visit the sick of non-Jews, also with the sick of the Jews. The Kaibrim Matayim Nachrim Im Matay Yisrael. We also go ahead and we bury those who were the dead, and I was not necessarily the same graves, the same, but we go ahead and we pay and we take care of the burying the dead of the Nachrim, all along with those of Yisrael. We pray Darkei Shalom because of Darkei Shalom. Fine. Now you Mishnah says, "Mashelas isha lechaverta hachashuda ala shvis." So a woman is allowed to go ahead and lend out to her friend who is chasha al shvis. There is concern that this person doesn't necessarily follow the laws of Shemitah so much. And nevertheless, one is allowed to go ahead and lend them their utensils for the kitchen, nafa, v'chiba, v'rechai, v'tanur, right? The sieve and their mill and their oven, right? And all these utensils, and all these utensils to go ahead and allow them to do the Shemitah, or even though they're chasher al Shemitah, we're not sure, but we allow them to go ahead and do it. But you can't go ahead and actually do it with them. In other words, you can lend them, let's say your mill, right? And they might be using it for a pair of shvis, they might not, I don't know, they're chasher al it, but you can't go ahead and actually assist them with their produce. And Eishes Chaver, Mashelas the Eishes Amaris, now this the wife of a Chaver, right? Of one Chaver, someone who eats, he's makbid with tahara by chulin, with one who's a Eishes Amaretz, who's not necessarily so makbid. Now, once again, this is not referring to Shemitah, this is referring to Amaretz in terms of Tumah Tahara, we'll soon see. You're allowed to go ahead, and she's allowed to go ahead and do the work with her. So when it comes to the Shemitah, you're not allowed to go ahead and do the work with it. You can only lend it. But when it comes to the Eishes Chaver, to an Eishes Amaretz, she's allowed to lend and also do the work with her. Aval, however, Mishtatil Esamayim, Leithiga Ima, Afishem Achzikin, Yedei Ivre Aver. Right? However, once the water is added and now it becomes a settled tuma, then she should not go ahead and touch it because we're not machzikin yedei ivre aver. Because if they are being ivre aver, i.e., being metame, chulin, right, in Eretz Yisrael, then you can't go ahead and assist it. The chulan la'amran elu b'nei darchei shalom. This is all said because of darchei shalom. Umachzikin yedei nachem b'shvis. So then we say that one can go ahead and support. Right, they nachem b'shvis. Those are nachem b'shvis about lo yidei Yisrael, but not Jews. The shalim b'shloimam mipnei darchei. You can also go ahead and give them a shalom aleichem, even though you're using the word the shalom, right, which is Shem Hashem. You're allowed to go ahead and say shalom to them mipnei darchei shalom. Fine, that was the mission. So zak the Gemara, Maishna Reisha Maishna Seifa. Why in the Reisha are we not allowed to go ahead and assist those who are chash el shvis, but we can go ahead and assist Eishes Amaretz. Most of them are take meiser. So in other words, therefore, even it's a small chashash. Even though she's an Eishes Amaretz, nevertheless, it's only a small chashash. And Rav Amar Hacha bi Amaretz d'Rav Meir. Over here, we're talking about Amaretz d'Rav Meir. But Tuma, B'Tahara d'Rabbanan. And therefore, it's only D'Rabbanan. It's not Shemitah, which is D'Oraisa. It's only a Midrabbanan. And that's what the Chash is. Therefore, you can go ahead and do the work with her. The Tan is doing in the Braisa. Ezo Amaretz. What's it? Amaretz Kol Shein Oichel Cholav. B'Tahara. Rav Meir says, what's it? Amaretz. The person doesn't eat a Chulav B'Tahara. So therefore, we're only talking about Tumat Tahara of a chulin, right, which is like almost like a chumrah, and therefore it's not a violation of a deraisa. Therefore, you can go ahead and do it. It's not the biggest difference. And what is it? Oretz, that is someone who doesn't take ma'aser and pairs. The Sefer says but the Sefer says once you go ahead and add the water, you shouldn't go ahead and touch it. We're not talking about Tumat Tahara. Tumat Tahara is only going the other part. Once there's water there, then we're worried about Tumat Tahara. But before then, we're not talking about Tumat Tahara. So my answer is no. Reisha b'seifa b'tuma b'tahara. Right? No, the Arba Tahara. The Reisha b'tuma schulin. The Seifa b'tuma schal. Reisha is talking about Tuma schulin. Tuma schulin, right? That we're not choshen for. And that you can go ahead and do it together. That's only the Rabbanan. However, the Seifa is referring to Tumas Chala, which is Deraisa, right? To be Matami, the part that was separate for Chala. And therefore, you can't go ahead and be Matami Biyad. And therefore, one cannot go ahead and assist in that case.
Why is the Mishnah then pointing at case of Shvis?
Well, the first one was Deraisa. So the first one, you can lend, but you can't do any work. When it says Deraisa, it really means like the middle case. Right? Right. In other words, there's Chosher al Shvis. Then there's Eishes Amaretz, and then the third case is Mishayato Samayim when the water joins. So the Gemara says, "I Bramin who has your kasha." Turn the page. Heichnin umakidim eitzel eichle Shvis ve'etzel eichle Periseya Betuma. One can go ahead and grind, or give as a deposit, have them watch by those who eat perhaps Shemitah, food that was was produced on Shemitah, and also by those who eat their Persen B'Tuma. Aval lo, but lo la'oichle Shvis, lo la'oichle Periseya B'Tuma. But you can't go ahead and basically grind the food for those in Shemitah or for those okay B'Tuma. So in other words, you can go ahead and deposit it by them or do along with them, right? But you cannot go ahead and deposit by them, but you can't go ahead and do it for them, right? Because you can't go ahead and violate, right? Do it because they're going to be in violation. But Rava said over there that even in a state of Tuma, right, by Chulin, it was okay. So Rabbi Hasam bekoin achash lecho b'shuma b'tuma askina. The Havilei Tuma deraisa. Over there, right, In other words, the reason why we say it's usher to go ahead and do it, right, is because we're talking about a Kohen, right? It's a Kohen who often has Truma by them, and therefore perhaps it could be that's Truma to be Matame Truma, which would be a Dorais. That's the reason why you can't go ahead and do it for them. Ihachi, if that's the case, Afkidin, right? You can go ahead and deposit with them and then take it back. We're not concerned that it was switched out for other produce, right? Or they're going to use it to be Matame it, right? I've Raminu, Afkidin, Truma, Eitzel, Yisrael, Amaretz. You can go ahead and deposit truma by Yisrael Amaretz. We're not worried he's going to touch it. But a Kohen, he's going to go ahead and touch it, right? Now, in this case, why are you allowed to go ahead and give him truma by Yisrael Amaretz? So Gora says, so I'm going to be like, we're talking about a kli cheres. That a kli cheres, that if he's just telling this case and it's sealed, right, sealed in this earthenware vessel, it's not going to be matame that which is inside. So perhaps his wife was say a nida. She's tmeya. She's an avatuma, right? She's maybe be able to be matame that which is inside a sealed container, right? So I want to be chashiv there. One is talking about a case of where the peiros they were made wet. They're settled the tumah. Therefore, it can't be. But the peiros that were not made wet, therefore, that can even be given to a kohen because it's not going to have a metamet. I've raminu hamalech chitin l'teichen kusi. One who goes ahead and takes his wheat to a kusi who's grinding and preparing the wheat for them. Or one is an amaretz, harei ele b'chaskasam l'maiser l'shvis. In other words, we give it to him, and we're not concerned that it was switched for other grains. It's the same grain that he gave, he got back. Aval lo l'tuma, but it's not for tuma. In other words, if it's susceptible, then we're going to be concerned. When I was not concerned, it was switched out for something else, right? And as we'll soon see, let's say you take Truma Meiser before, so you have to do it. We're not concerned that you have to go ahead and take Truma Meiser because it could be different grains, but we are chayshid for Tuma. Segura says, "Hi, my Rumia, right? So I understand what's your issue here. Did we not say that our case talking about where if something was not settled to Tuma, so therefore it's okay. So there's the difference. This case it was. So it was settled to Tuma. That's why he can't give them. But if it was not, he wouldn't be able to.
Wait, how is drying grain cooked during the Tuma?
So dry grain.
Because that's what we're talking about.
Well, it was given to grind. Right? So
It was given to the grind. It has to be dry. You don't grind wet.
So it could be that. So I was actually saying what I was saying before. What was that?
Could have been done and tried out, and then he.
Right. So it could be that that's the case. But no, he said it could have come in contact with water before.
Before.
But I'm trying to think for a second.
But
Purposefully. No, but over there, it could be also that at a certain point that if it was still in the pile, it wasn't set, it was still too early in the process, it would not be set with the tuba. Shane came afterwards, if he wants, but it still has to be moist. So maybe it was moist. Maybe it was did come in contact, and the owner was not upset about it. Right? I don't know. I didn't look at the notes here. Well, it's a good question. Let's try. We'll see it after. Let's just move on. Right. So the Gemara says. So I understand. We're talking about the lahukshu. The kari my kari. So if that's the case, the clear difference. So what was he who asked the question? What was the question? So because he actually wanted to ask another kasha. What was the other kasha? Right. So really, you want to say like this. So these are in the chazak. We're not concerned that for in terms of let's say it wasn't done during Shemitah or that the maises were taken from it, and we're not concerned that it was switched for different grains which were done during Shemitah or which were not taken to was mais for. I've Raminu Hanaisim the Chamaisu. One who goes ahead and gives grain, I guess, to his mother-in-law. He had to go ahead and give meiser to her because perhaps she might go ahead and eat some. And when she gives it back to you, you might have to go ahead and take it back. Why? Because Right? Perhaps she's going to go ahead and switch it around. In other words, she wants to go ahead and give you something which is, which is better. So therefore, she might switch the grains. And since she's switching the grains, maybe the grain that she gave you back was not something that you took ma'aser from already. So Gemara says, no, over there, it says over there, Rabbi Yehuda, right? Now, she won't tell you she switches. She just wants to do it for her daughter to give her better grains, but she won't tell the son-in-law to embarrass him. So therefore, she's going to switch without telling you to give you the better stuff. So therefore, she's going to switch it. Perhaps she's going to switch with stuff that we're not taking ma'aser from, and therefore you have to go ahead and take ma'aser from when it comes back. So, but anybody else, not a mother-in-law, we're not chayshish for them switching it. But now we learn in the Mishnah, one who goes ahead and gives his dough, right? He gives his stuff to the innkeep, to the hostess of the hotel. He has to go ahead and he takes that which he took, that which he gives in, he has to take ma'aser because perhaps she'll switch it, or that which he takes back, you have to go ahead and take ma'aser because it should be switched. You see, it's not just a mother-in-law, it's even this Pundakis. So Hasam, Maria, Amra, over there, she says like this. Right? Oh, there's the yeshiva student, let the yeshiva student let him eat the good stuff, I like the bad stuff. That's the reason why it's machlefes there. So Gemara says, we're still not concerned. But Tani, we learn a brisa, Eishes chaver, tochenes im Eishes amaretz, a woman who is a wife of a chaver is allowed to go out and grind with Eishes amaretz. This man, she eats meya. Even at a time, or during a time when she's tameya. But now when she's Torah. Now when she's Torah, because when she's Tameya, she's not going to go ahead and touch the produce, right? So, and therefore when she's Eishes Chaver, but when she is Tahara, then she's allowed to go ahead and do with her. Even when she's Tameya, she's not going to go ahead and touch it. She's not allowed to go ahead and grind with the Eishes Amaretz. Why? Right, because she's going to go ahead and give her some to go ahead and eat. Right? Right. So over there, you're worried about her taking it, right? Her mom is taking it, right, and giving some to to her, to sharing with her, and she's taking it. She's ganavis, right, from her husband, Michelle Bala. She's taking it from, right, to give it to her friend. She didn't give it for her husband, so we're concerned that she might be giving it, free grain. So certainly, if you're choshesh that she's giving her free grain, that's why you can't do it. Certainly, it might be switched over, right? And because there's no loss; it's just better or worse. Right? And now maybe over there, she's being like Mara says, "Look, you're allowed to go ahead when an ox goes ahead and plows. The ox is allowed to go ahead and feed. So too, she's working for me. I'm going to go ahead and give her some to eat free of charge. But if she's just, it was deposited with her." Right, then maybe she would not go ahead and switch them. All right. We'll stop over here at this point. So tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, we'll go ahead and continue from here.